Hey, today I'm talking about 3 Korean comedy films, all featuring this actor. And the names of those 3 movies are Sunny, Psychokinesis, and Miss Granny. First up is Sunny. This is a 2011 film, and it is amazing. The basic premise is this woman in her mid-40s is a dutiful wife. She really goes above and beyond for her husband and daughter, but they don't really show a lot of appreciation. Well, one day, while visiting her mom in the hospital, she discovers one of her old high school friends there, unfortunately dying. So this inspires them to reconnect with all of their old high school gang. So the film is set both in modern times of 2011 and then flashes back to 1986, and it's split pretty evenly between the two. And it's so good. I love it a lot. They did such a good job with the story that either half could have held its own as a standalone film. Like, they had enough meat to chew on there with both halves. But it is such an interesting juxtaposition to have these young, idealized, big dream, hopeful, colorful kids from the 80s, and then what the black and white and gray world of today actually is. Where like some of them did achieve big successful careers, others are just parents, and others are just struggling to exist. And just like you never know exactly where life's gonna take you, and that's so interesting. But it's really about not forgetting those dreams you had when you were a kid. That like, yeah, life gets in the way, but you should still hold on to that beauty. And then a big thing that it's also about is how you're the protagonist of your own life. Like, you're not just there to serve others. Like, yeah, definitely be there for other people and whatnot, but don't forget that you're important too. Man, yeah, no, so many things that just really crushed. And what's so cool too was that there was a very specific year they picked out because Korea was going through a revolution. They were going from a dictatorship to a democracy. That was just so neat as a backdrop. And I think definitely tied into like themes and stuff. One of my favorite sequences, there is a riot protest that's happening between the military and protesters. And like, the girls aren't technically involved, but they are because they end up getting in a fight with their rival gang at the thing. And it's just so ridiculous and absurd because there's like actual big violence happening behind them, and then in the foreground it's like silly fighting stuff, and it's just so good. I love it a lot. The first scene with the rival gang is also just like top notch because it's them just like kind of yelling at each other, not really wanting to get into a fight. And the lead, she has some really great physical comedy that happens, well, all throughout, but in particular that scene, it just floored me. But another thing I really got to shout out to is the transitions between now and the past. Like, the first one really got me because the mom was following the daughter to school. She was in the sea of all these black, white, and gray uniforms. And then they did like a really great one where they just suddenly transitioned to everyone in just these bright, vibrant, classic 80s clothes. Very reminiscent of like Dorothy walking into Oz, and just so beautifully done. But really all of the transitions were great. You could kind of count this as a nostalgia film, which I'm generally not a fan of, but where it differentiates from classic nostalgia films, those tend to focus on like, oh, hey, look at this cool thing from your childhood type of stuff. And there is classic iconic 80s music in this, used very well. But what makes this one stand out is that it's not really nostalgic for the things. It's nostalgic for the ideology we had as children, that anything is possible mindset that we had as kids. And that's something I'm always behind. That was really good, really well done. So yeah, no, I crazy loved this movie and would totally recommend it. It's a good, fun time with a beautiful story, great characters, goes to some fun places, and just really delivers top to bottom. Yeah, no, love this movie, cannot recommend it enough. Next up is Psychokinesis. This is a 2018 sort of superhero movie where the basic premise is crazy. There's this deadbeat dad who gets superpowers, and all of that stuff is where a lot of the comedy is. But then the main part of the story is so heavy. Okay, I gotta explain a lot of stuff. In the second scene of the movie, this young woman is being forcefully taken out of her restaurant that she has super big pride in by by this gang. The mom shows up to help. They forcefully remove her from her van and end up accidentally killing her. So that's the base. But the reason these guys are forcefully removing people is because all of this property has been bought out. All the tenants there have been evicted, but they are squatting because they believe that they weren't compensated enough for the eviction. They just want more money, which it's a big greedy company. They should pay them more. Instead of investing all this money into trying to get rid of them, just give that money to them. So like the main story is dark for sure. It's just people fighting for the right to exist and a young woman grieving over the loss of her mother. And also her being frustrated by now her dad being in her life. Like, this loser wants to be a part of my life now? No, screw off. And so like the weirdness of the movie is that it tonally isn't the most even because the superhero stuff is very silly, very ridiculous. Like the first scene where he realizes he has powers, he's like floating all of the trash in his apartment with like goofy music playing, and I'm like, okay, this is a bit over the top. And him just doing kind of force push stuff is consistently goofy. That said though, it has a lot of heart, and the third act really comes together. It's the big showdown between the two sides. It's very intense. All the emotions work and play correctly. It's just so exciting. And then the very end of it goes in a direction I did not think they would. I didn't even conceive of, but it was totally the right call and such an interesting choice. It's something you do not see in superhero movies. So no, I enjoyed this movie a good solid amount. It's definitely worth a watch. If you're a fan of superhero movies, yes. If you're not, I would still say yes. It has a lot to chew on and it goes to some unexpected places. I think everyone will be pleasantly surprised with where it goes. Just be prepared for a little uneven tone stuff, but it's definitely worth a watch. And lastly is Miss Granny. This is a 2014 film, and the basic premise is this little old lady is kind of struggling with her family a bit. A lot of butting heads. But then one day, watch a kid into big, she meets this mysterious man who suddenly turns her into her like 21-year-old self. So now she's kind of living out the dreams she didn't get to do because she married young, had a child young, and was a single mom for a long time, so she couldn't follow those dreams. It was a cute, fun little movie. I will say the humor didn't always work for me. It wasn't bad. I feel like it needed more tightly packed jokes. That said though, I really love the lead. She's got such a great physical premise, like great physical humor, easily embodied like the old lady mannerisms down to a T. I never once forgot that she's a little old lady inside of a 21-year-old's body, to the extent that when she's criticizing youngsters for stuff, they'll get mad at her because she's just a child. But like I was in her mindset of like, oh no, you should listen to her. Like she's spitting facts. And then like the character, I was caught off guard when they were like, what are you doing? Get away from me, you freak. Those always worked well for me. The movie was definitely a little bit long, but it's a good solid experience on the whole. It's about getting a taste of what you missed in life while learning that what you have is better, the classic story, and also her learning to not being such a dick to her family, in particular her daughter-in-law. Like that's kind of where a lot of the drama came from in the beginning, is she stressed out the daughter-in-law to the extent that she went to the hospital. So yeah, no, it's a good solid experience that is a hair long and not quite as funny as it needed to be, but still on the whole an experience that's definitely worth checking out. It's so much fun. Alrighty, now for today's rankings. First up, we got Sunny sitting at number 10 in the really like section. And after that is Psychokinesis sitting at number 95 in the quite like section. It seems like a long ways down, but Sunny's just really high up, so don't take that the wrong way. And then after that is Miss Granny sitting at number 106, again in the quite like section. And this is out of a total of 228 old movies so far this year.